everyone. I've been guided to come back on and just discuss something that follows on from the previous reading there. Um, if you have perhaps met somebody in this lifetime where you feel that lovely, intense bond between you, where you just sort of recognize and acknowledge each other without words, without having to actually communicate verbally, you have already allowed your energies to flow and merge, match together, and there's that natural sense of alignment where you just feel at peace, you're unguarded. As I've said before, these layers are starting to move away because you've found that level of trust that just opens you up to this exchange and this free flow of communication. But for any of you that have not yet allowed yourself to get into that position, or just haven't been in a place to have an opportunity to meet the right person where you felt that, I feel that it's important to recognize and acknowledge that the reason most of us do not get into that position, or why we struggle, even perhaps when we know that person, say it's a twin flame, and we just don't always communicate clearly, obviously it's fear. Fear is the number one thing that holds us back. We are so worried about how the other person will react, their response to our deep inner feelings, and us showing our vulnerability and being in that place of truth and authenticity. Will it make them run a mile? Will it make them feel uncomfortable? Will they think we're a fool? So it's not about our own feelings. It's more of a concern about what they are going to do, how they are going to react. And the thing is, that is their area. That really shouldn't be our concern. I mean, obviously, if we're going to come out and say something that's awful to them, which we shouldn't really anyway, and I trust that all of you here listening, you're not in that frame of mind. But anything that would be like an attack or anything like that, then yeah, you need to be stopping and thinking about what you're doing. But generally, if it's coming from that lovely deep inner connection where you just feel it and you know it and you trust that person, and there's that, it's an uncommunicated bond. You don't even have to say anything. You just know it. You just feel it. You're just at peace. If it is in that sort of alignment and that relationship, then really just be authentic, be yourself, be honest with yourself, and allow that energy to come out and flow to them, and give it off, give it to them. And what they choose to do with that and how they receive it, that is their business. And going back to the previous reading there, it being so important that we do this inner work, this shadow work, and look at our own lives, our past, and limiting beliefs, things that have happened perhaps in childhood or earlier in life that we are still hanging on to now, we're still afraid of, and we are guarding and protecting ourselves against that. We don't want to be in that position again. We don't want to feel vulnerable, or we don't want to be wounded or abandoned or whatever it may be. It is so important that you go back and do some of that work and ask yourself those questions, reveal the truth and the answers, because that then shows a great powerful reflection of what's going on in your life currently. And that's when you can clear things away, so you realize there are things you do now that actually have no relevance, and perhaps it doesn't even resonate with you anymore. Perhaps it was something from your childhood, or perhaps it was something a grandparent said, and they've been passed over for years. They are also layers of debris to remove and to cleanse from your body and your soul. So taking that time to do that, to look at yourself and to work out if there's anything there that is just redundant now, and then clear it out, make space for better things, greater things. If you've done that and you've allowed that space, you are then ready to step into that better place of communication with others. And yes, okay, as 3D human beings, we will always have that element of fear. There is always that doubt and that niggle. Should I say this? Should I do this? If I do this, what will happen? And again, it's doubt and it's worry. We need to sit with it. We need to sit with it and feel, is this truly how I feel? And don't be rushing, don't be thinking, of course it is, without actually sitting with it and feeling it and questioning it. In here, this knowing, this feeling, less about that really. And I mean, I know I've just said sit with it and think about it. Sometimes the mind can just take over, and it can get so chaotic, and you can get in such an anxiety sort of state where everything becomes so chaotic and crazy that it actually becomes so distorted from the truth. So going back to that place of emotions and just feeling. So think about your connection with that person. Think about how they make you feel, how you are around them, whether you're a true sort of reflection of yourself, whether you feel guarded, whether you feel fake, whether you feel at ease, whether you feel edgy. Have a think about what happens in that moment, and then just sit with it, just feel it in here, and notice any little subtle changes in your body. But as I was saying, this fear of rejection or abandonment, most of the time that stems from something that has already happened. It's in the past. And occasionally we do need to uncover that. And yes, it can be uncomfortable. It can be painful. And for some people, yeah, perhaps now is not the time and you're simply not strong enough, or you need additional support from a counsellor or a therapist. And you will know when you are ready, if you are ready to investigate those areas further. But if you're here and you're watching this, the chances are you've already started to do a little bit of that anyway. So my message here that's been channeled through me is to persevere with that, to value and appreciate its importance and its significance on this path. It is vital that you overcome some of those little hurdles in order to be able to get to the better things down the road. And as I say, how somebody chooses to respond, they will respond according to what their experiences have been in their life, their own inner healing and their wounds. If somebody sort of rejects you, the chances are at some point they have been rejected and they do not want to go down that road again, where there's that fear of rejection or abandonment. So they're pushing you away, they're being guarded. That is their place to do that, and there's nothing we can do about that to change their mind. That is their inner work, that is their shadow work, and that is their journey within their own time. So we can't force any of these connections, but the best thing we can do is be authentic and true to ourselves. So instead of holding back on all these things and thinking, I shouldn't be thinking this, I can't say that, I can't do that, just sit with it for a minute, just feel it. And yeah, for some people and in some connections, especially if this is a twin flame that isn't truly a twin, say it's a catalyst and it is just somebody working towards that, then there are times where if you say something, they may react and it may end up badly received. But again, that's part of the journey, that's part of your learning, and it's part of their learning. We have to trust to give off what we feel, because if we are always hiding in the shadows out of fear of rejection and their reactions, we're not being true to ourselves at all. And there's a thing here where you can bombard people, you can overwhelm them and smother them, and then that's just going to make them react even more like that. It's going to repel. So it has to be done in a way that is just balanced and it is light and it sits right with you. So if you want to say something and you're feeling really like something's telling you shouldn't say it, or it's not right to say it that way, well, listen to that intuition, because it's there for a reason, and the chances are it's absolutely 100% bang on. So don't go against it and go and tell them that anyway, even though your gut's telling you that it's going to blow up. Listen, pay attention. Whereas if you're going to say this and you think, yeah, this is okay, it's coming from this lovely warm heart space, I feel calm, I feel comfortable with it, there's no lies there, there's no facade, there's no manipulation, then yeah, you're free, you're in that free flow energy to give that off. It's comfortable, you are feeling at ease. And I think that's important, how you feel as you are in that moment of sharing that information is also an indicator of how it will also be received. So if you're feeling all sort of jittery, and yeah, okay, you might get some nerves, especially if this person means a lot to you, but if it's off the scale and it's like alarm bells ringing, that is a warning. That is your inner guide, your true self and your soul warning you, bad idea, or not now. You need to be comfortable with what you're saying, you need to be calm, and you need to be ready for it. So if you're feeling unready and anxious and edgy, then they're going to receive that, because as I've said before, it's this exchange of energy. So how you gave it will be how they receive it as well. So if you've come from a place of neediness, smothering sort of energy, really desperate and overwhelming, they're going to sense that, they're going to feel that and receive that. And I'm talking about 3D or 5D, it's going to come over in an energetic form. And this can be through text and emails as well. It doesn't have to be a verbal thing or on the phone or in person. The energy is there and it is present in your words and how it's emitted. So please tune in with how you are before you do something. Don't just rush in there. Take your time to just feel it, to sit with it and to know. Yeah. Just be mindful and respectful as well that, you know, even if you are feeling all great and positive and whatever, we don't know what the other person's going through. So just sit that little bit longer, just to feel again intuitively, to be guided to know whether now is a good time. And if something is telling you not to do it right then and there, don't do it. I know we can be like eager and too keen to jump the gun and to just spit it all out. But it is futile if it's going to come back at you in a bad way because the timing wasn't right. Divine timing is so important, and really if we're tuning in with our own soul, that is a clear indicator of when it's good to go and when it's just a time to just take that step back and have a little think and have a little breathe. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. It's just, I feel that, you know, when you feel that intense connection with somebody, when you know, and I'm not talking about infatuation and obsession here, and I think sometimes, you know, that can get muddled up, the wires there can get a bit hazy. Some of you will have been on a journey at some point where you have felt that real intensity and the passion's just been too heated and it has become obsessive and intense. And then there's other times where you just think this has gone on for lifetime after lifetime, or years, months, whatever it may be. And that just changes. It almost grows deeper and deeper. It becomes less about passion, more about something else. That's the one where it matters. It's the one where it becomes about more than just a superficial, more about surface level, about satisfying, you know, physical needs or ego, getting, you know, pleasing the ego with all compliments or excitement or adrenaline. It's not about that. It's about something far greater. But I feel that those of you that have experienced true deep soul bonds, then as I said in the last reading, it can feel immense. The power is absolutely, it's indescribable. You cannot put it into words because it is a feeling, and it's like fireworks going off through your entire body. It's kundalini rising to a point of breakthrough. It's just something else. It takes it out into the universe, and it's out of this world. So sometimes if you're feeling that need to reach out and connect and communicate, or even just support and love and hold, if you feel that you can't, or you're afraid, perhaps your inner sort of guidance system is saying not now, you know, I'm too nervous, or not now because he or she is dealing with too much at the minute, or, you know, my guides are saying, oh, alarm bells. You can do it on the 5D. And we are so quick to just, you know, shove that aside and disregard it because everybody wants things now in this 3D. We all want the healing and the physical in the 3D form. But just remember that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. It isn't the way around that we are living it through. You know, we sort of wake up each day and think, this is it, here and now, this is me. But actually, it's the other way around. This is just the experience. This is the learning. This is the growth. And our spirit and our soul is the truth of all things. So if you wish for that person to receive your messages and your feelings of love, and you want to send and communicate that, then the one way it is guaranteed to be received is on the 5D. And that is anytime. Although, yes, even as a soul, you may have days where that person is slightly more open to receiving, might be more distracted. Doesn't mean you can't send it. And the great thing with the 5D is it's not too intense. It's not going to overwhelm or bombard or suffocate and smother. It's not going to get their energy to retract and, you know, hide away in the shadows. It won't frighten them because it is a soul-to-soul connection. It is a bond of hearts. And their soul is your soul, and they will understand it. And I mean, I'm saying that from a twin flame, excuse me, you know what I mean, a twin flame connection, because perhaps that's why I've said it, you are on the same plane, you've come from the same source. But if this is perhaps a connection just with somebody else, that's a dear friend or a family member or a loved one, and you feel that bond, do it on the 5D. And the 5D is a great place to just practice this, to just feel each other's energy, just to get comfortable with it, and to get comfortable with your own, to allow yourself to open up that heart space of vulnerability into that soul connection, where you can explore some of those wounds that you've maybe hung on to, and the limiting beliefs and the fear of rejection. If you were going to go and speak to somebody now in the physical, and you're feeling really anxious about saying what it is you're feeling, how they're going to react to that, and whether they're going to perhaps laugh at you, or just ignore you, or walk away, or ghost you, block you, whatever, you know that if you do that on the 5D first, that's not going to happen. And even if you don't hear anything back straight away, or you don't feel anything, trust that that message will get through, because it will. We are all interconnected, and those messages don't just go missing. They'll come down right when the timing is perfect. So allow it, release it, get it out your system, allow it to go into that realm where it will be received by your loved one. Yeah, please give it a go. And for those of you that just know that it's okay to do it in the physical now, then do it. Send it out. Don't bottle it all up, because for all you know, that person might be really, really wishing and hoping for something from you. They might even be feeling the same. They might just wish they could reach out and communicate with you, and they're so afraid themselves perhaps of rejection, or the fear is just anchoring them down so much that they can't take that first step. But my advice would be, practice in the 5D first, build that bond, strengthen it, get to a point where you're both comfortable exposing your emotions and your vulnerabilities with each other, and then you will know intuitively when it is the right time to do that and explore that in the physical. And also as well, even if you've been having these conversations with your twin flame or your loved one in spirit, and then you're thinking, well, if I do it in the physical, they're not going to know about that, because it's not the same. It is the same person. And okay, yes, that person in the 3D body may admit that they're unaware of any of this, and perhaps you don't even have that conversation, and you're just fearing that they're going to be unaware. Trust that their soul will have already familiarized themselves with the connection, with the conversation, with the energy, because that is what this is about. So their soul will be telling them intuitively everything, all the signs and things happening in their body, all the synchronicities going on in their daily lives, little messages, little signs, music, whatever it may be. Their soul is constantly communicating with them regarding you, regarding this bond, this intimacy, this connection. So just trust that it's not like you've just dropped a bomb and they're going to be totally and utterly overwhelmed. Yes, there might be some overwhelm there. There might be slightly stunned, shocked, on edge, whatever. But it's not that you have gone in there for the first time. If you have done this on the 5D, and that's why I suggest you do it first, then their soul will give them little hints, little tasters, and it will be like a slow, steady trickle to their 3D self of this information, of this connection, of this bond. And then when they have received that and they've been open to allowing it to flow in, because it's been coming in steadily, not as a boom, then they are more at ease with it. They're comfortable. And so when you do that in the physical, it feels okay. It feels surprisingly okay. And they might think, well, how have I just handled that so comfortably? Why didn't I panic there? Why didn't I, back into my little cave like I normally would? They might actually be aware and think, I've surprised myself there. They might also be stunned that you have come forward and said what you're feeling and what's going on for you, and how have you had the strength to do that? Well, little do they know, really, on the 3D level, you've already been doing it. You've been doing it slowly. Your souls have been talking and connecting and bonding and getting to a point of strength and connection. So the 5D is just out of this world. It is fantastic, it is powerful, it is beautiful, and it's a place of comfortable transformation. You are and you're also supported by all your angels and your guides and your loved ones. You're coming into such a higher level of energy and vibration that transaction, that exchange of energy between you is just so much clearer, so much brighter, purer. The messages aren't getting lost, they're not getting misunderstood or confused. They are as clear as can be, because it's a feeling and it's a knowing and it's a soul level connection. And of course, yes, in the 3D, things can get a bit, muddled there. Things can get muddled up with the heaviness of daily life, and the ego can come in and start trying to manipulate the situation and twist it into something it's not. But that is where we need to push that ego aside, to trust in the soul and the 5D bond, and know that we can work our own magic. We can get out of this heavy energy. We can go into a higher realm, and we can communicate from here without fear, without any fear at all. And then you're opening that door here within the 3D. I hope that makes sense for you. Give it a go, the 5D, and please don't give up. If you haven't done this before, and you feel that nothing's going to happen, it's not even real, whatever, and we all have self-doubt at some point, until you've got to that point where and you hear them back, and the messages are coming and going all the time, then yeah, it is a slow burner. It can take some time, but don't give up. It's just like talking with spirit. Just take your time, just keep practicing, just keep going. And truly, if you really feel this intensity for this person, release it anyway. Release it out there, and it will be guided to them. They will receive it. Just keep giving it off. Keep giving it off. It's just like you're a beacon, and you're just shining your light out. Don't mask it. Don't hide it. Don't squash it. Bury it. Suffer in silence. There is a way of allowing that beautiful, heartfelt, unconditional love and energy to flow through you out into the universe. Trust in that, and trust they will receive it when they need to. Okay, I hope that helps. Have a lovely day, everyone. Thanks for listening. Bye.